Good morning, Comrade. You are listening to Good Morning, Comrade. It's a Thursday show. You can also catch us live streaming on youtube.com on Wednesday nights. I think we should probably schedule a regular time for these, but we'll get to that.
All the people who are like
the real diehard Comrade heads.
Yeah. And I was going to say the people that I listen to are just like, when it's out, it's out.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about it. But, so it's like, I feel we're okay.
Yeah.
It's good to be respectful of our audience, but also like this isn't our like full-time job.
No, of course. But I mean, if we could,
if you'd like to make it our full-time job, please throw us a couple bucks on Patreon.
Yeah, goodmorningcomrade.com. I'm sorry, patreon.com/goodmorningcomrade. You can give us. We're actually revamping the Patreon setup. We are out to an artist about getting the koozies designed.
Yeah.
We gotta see if we can get a price.
I love a koozie. I live for a koozie.
Yeah, koozies are good. And
Honey Bun, you sound like you're in a bathroom.
Not. Wait,
all right.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. You're just like, you're in like outer space.
We need to get
you're echoing.
We need to get you a Jersey mic.
I know. I actually probably should get one.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be living here now, so.
Oh, you never coming back?
It's probably just I'm sorry. I forgot you don't have a mic. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. Never mind.
We'll get you a mic up in Jersey. Get like a Yeti or something. We'll figure it out. But anyway.
Fine.
We're going to make you sound great. You look great, and we're going to make you sound great. How about that? We all look great.
Thanks.
I could bring you one.
You totally should.
Yeah. I'll just pick one up at Best Guess or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, we should probably talk about this offline.
It's fine. It's all content.
It's
all content.
Anyway.
People like this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Do they?
They do. I do.
Okay.
Feel like you're hanging out with us.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, yeah, good morning, Comrade.
Grab yourself a glass of wine. Join us.
Jeff's never going to be able to talk.
Goodmorningcomrade.com is where you get all the information. Patreon.com/goodmorningcomrade. We're going to hopefully get those koozies out pretty soon. Special extra content also coming soon. I promise we are halfway to our goal of 10 new subscribers. And who knows? The world is our oyster when we can actually get the ball rolling and get this thing kind of kicking off. Quick note. I was on Ben Yudishin's stream on Popular Front and on his podcast. We talked a little bit about the passing of Michael Brooks. 2 hours we talked about that guy, which is wild. So anyway, what's up with y'all?
Erin, you should go first because I feel like I'm a very ranty mood.
Oh,
he's got his ranty pants on.
A lot of times I'm not, to be honest.
I'm just living the dream, drinking my mom's red wine. So that's wonderful. We love it.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a dinner, my mom and her friend, and I made them very sad about talking about my views on electoralism and the general state of the union.
All right, talk about that.
Yeah, please do. Like, I'm very interested in that. Like, have your views on electoralism changed? Or, like, what are your views on electoralism right now?
My views on electoralism have always been that it's like a harm reduction tactic. Mm-hmm. It's never been the be-all, end-all. It never can be the be-all, end-all in this country because we don't allow, so many states don't allow people with criminal records to vote. And there's so many people who are currently incarcerated. So even if, you can vote when you get out of jail, there's still like so many people in jail that can't vote. So our democracy will never be a fully representative democracy until we address those issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, but my mom said she's a lovely person. She's actually a federal judge in New Jersey, and she's a very great, wonderful human. Just tends more towards the liberal than the left.
She married us.
Yeah, she did marry us, and she did a great job.
She did.
Shout out to her.
You got married by your mother-in-law.
No. My mom's friend. My mom.
Oh.
Judge. That'd be cool if she was, but she's not. No, my mom's friend is a federal judge. Yeah. It's a funny story how they met. I'm assuming that no one's going to listen to this, but
A lot of people do.
my mom, so she thought that her husband was cheating on her with my mom, when it turns out her husband was cheating on her, just not with my mom.
Oh, Mom, I didn't know this
Came
story.
over to my mom's house to confront her about the situation, and then they became friends. And
Wow,
so
I did not know that.
yeah.
That's rad on your mom, though. That's kind of like a badge of honor. Your mom can.
No, it was like it's like a very
put out there.
esque story.
Yeah.
I'm really here for it. And that dude ain't shit for real. She's a federal judge. Like, fuck you. What are you gonna do? Cheat on her? No. And she's very beautiful.
No.
The whole thing is very ridiculous. But so that's why I'm sad that I made her sad. But it's not like I was being particularly confrontational. I'm sorry that the world is sad and the state of things are very sad. But we did recommend that she watch Too Cute in order to feel better, which is about puppies and kittens. And that usually does the trick for me. So, yeah. So
That's a good one.
how are you guys doing?
Pretty good. I mean, I wanted to kind of expand on the electoralism thing because, like, I posted on my personal Facebook today. I was like, "Hey guys, I guess I was wrong. Electoralism, elections do matter," because I posted that Krasner, the DA in Philadelphia, said that if Trump sends federal troops to federal agents, secret police to Philadelphia, and they break the law, then the Krasner will have the Philadelphia police arrest them on the spot. And I thought that was pretty awesome. And I was like, hey, so elections do matter.
I should caveat. I do think local elections are super important. I just don't think on the federal, and even like on the, basically from your senator up. So I guess there's only a few other, but I don't think it really matters. Like, I do think you have a lot of sway with your House of Representatives candidates. You have a ton of sway when it comes to like your local candidates, because a lot less money is spent in those races. But I do think, especially in like off election, so like on non-presidential election years, the turnout is so low. So this idea that like, oh, we have a representative democracy, it's like we don't. Even when good people get voted in, it's not because they were voted in like with the power of the people. It's just more good people decided to vote than not.
Oh, even in presidential election years, like turnouts like usually maybe 50% on a good year, but it's usually less.
Yeah. Like, honestly, and this feels more authoritarian than I necessarily am willing to be, but like, I don't mind an Australian system where you're like, you have to vote.
I don't know if that solves the problem though,
I mean,
why wouldn't
it doesn't solve the problem. It just, I think that it will, because the people who end up not voting are the people who would vote leftist, I think, a lot of the time.
Yeah, potentially.
So,
Why wouldn't you think it would solve the problem, Jeff?
I think it would cause more problems in the sense that, like, what would happen if people choose not to vote, even in that situation, which will inevitably happen. Like, what state apparatus is there that you can use to coerce people to vote? Now, let me be clear. I'm not necessarily against it conceptually speaking. I just don't see how it comes together.
I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Insofar as like what state mechanism would require people to vote? What enforcement would there be? If there's no enforcement, is it really a mandate? Stuff like that.
No, I know in Australia it's a fine.
I'm not for that.
Essentially, if you're just rich, you not do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you do is just
non-voters.
You just tear down the barriers to voting.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have anything punitive. You just tear down. You just mail in ballots, electronic ballots. You can vote by online, like however you want to do it. We can figure it out. I mean, we can choose like we chose the American Idol for years, for a decade.
Yeah, TSA.
Yeah, but did you vote for American Idol, Robert?
No, I never did.
Okay, so
voted for Sanjaya. No. Oh, I would have voted for Kelly Pickler. I always thought she was hot.
Whoa. I don't know who
I don't understand how you go from Janine from Ghostbusters to Kelly Pickler.
Because she's like a kind soul. She's like a
Kelly or Janine?
Kelly Pickler.
I don't know who that is. So
she's like that little country lady who was on American Idol when we were.
She's like the trad wife of the trad wives. Like,
no, she's cuter than that. She's kind of like
there can be cute trad wives.
She's like a country, like manic pixie dream girl.
Whoa.
She's like quirky and country,
like the Avril Lavigne of country music.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, that was good, Jeff. Good analogy. No,
it's like a country version of he was a skater boy. He said
he rode on his tractor boy. He tipped a cow for me.
Is that what you think about country people, Robert? That they're just out tipping cows all the time.
I know my family did. I know my family does. How about that? Well, as you sit up in your compound on the beach. I know my family does this shit
on this podcast and pretend like I wasn't a bougie bitch because y'all know
right.
Bougie bitch.
I'm just saying.
Drinking my mom's red wine right now. Okay, I had a Tom Collins last time we did this.
I remember that. You mentioned
it was so
times.
good.
Yeah.
Bombay Sapphire.
Whoa.
Okay.
Wow.
Very good.
So that's if we ever get big, no one can cancel me because I've been very upfront about being bougie.
Why didn't you cancel me before? Already open.
I feel like every like 2 to 3 weeks, I see someone getting canceled because they're like, "Oh, this leftist parents are rich," and you're like, "You can't be a leftist," and I'm like, "Oh no."
I've literally heard you say that. Make that same argument against other people.
Oh.
You've made that like, oh, these people don't have any cred or whatever.
Oh.
And I just go, okay. Like I'm in your corner. Everything you're saying is right, but you've made that argument against others.
Wait, who have I made that argument against?
It's your favorite, like, love to hate podcasters.
Okay,
exactly. Okay.
The never ending.
Do we want to get into this now?
It is what it is.
The never ending feud continues.
It is what it is.
It's a super one-sided feud.
Yeah. During this trial by combat, I'm the designated. During this trial by combat, I'm the designated combatant of Chapel Trap House, and now I wear the crest of House Cumtown.
Whoa.
Oh God.
So
please stop saying that.
It's the name of a show. What do you want me to do?
I hate it so much.
You just call it something else, I guess.
Ugh.
Just gonna police my language.
Yeah, I am going to. That's my right.
Speaking of that, though, I did hear like what I kind of want to rant. Jeff and I were ranting about before. That's a good segue into the whole secret police that are on the streets now of America. So I was listening to the podcast that should not be named, and sometimes they're like, it's stupid, like all the time. 99.9999. That podcast is like terrible and awful, but also hilarious. But when they're crystal clear on something, it's like it's so crystal. They had like a thing where they were talking about the secret police, and they said, I can't wait till Biden's president or somebody else who doesn't care about civil liberties and then just start snatching guys up like Andy Noah up off the street and black bagging them. And I'm like, exactly. So my thing that I've been doing this week for entertainment is I've been in the pro-gun subreddit because they're having like an all-out war with the SRA, the Socialist Rifle Association of America subreddit, where the SRA is like, hey, y'all, like, what happened to states' rights? What happened to we're going to defend against tyranny? And the pro-gun people are just like, fuck them. They deserve to get black bagged. They deserve to get disappeared. They're all commies anyway. And it's just hilarious because to me, I'm laughing because all these Second Amendment people, they are exactly who we thought they were. They're exactly who we've been saying for years. They're just like Cool Ranch Dorito light racists who want to play with their guns.
Why are you bringing Doritos into this?
Because
Cool
it's
Ranch
like the
Dorito Light.
yeah, Cool Ranch Dorito flavored
I'm sorry.
racism.
I'm a Cooler Ranch or a Nacho Teasier. I want more, not less.
They got the dust now. You know they put the dust on there. The hot dust, the hot Cheeto and lime dust.
Oh
you can get
yeah,
that on
yeah,
your Doritos now,
yeah. It's
dude.
basically trying to make fake
Gross.
trying to make fake Takis.
No, I eat that all. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. They're scared by that Taki energy.
Mhm.
Frito Lay is for real. But yeah, I find it incredibly hilarious how these people are just like, you know, we're going to defend the Second Amendment against secret police and tyranny and government overreach, and we're going to defend America. And as soon as that happens, they're like, nah, we're good.
Yeah,
we got our fascists in charge. All the libertarians who were talking about states' rights, who were talking all that noise for a good since I was like for like 20 years now, when like libertarianism became kind of a household word in the political sphere, have all disappeared in the ether. They've all traded in their Gadsden flags for MAGA hats.
I'm sorry, but the first libertarian was Thomas Jefferson, actually.
Fuck out of here with that shit. Alexander Hamilton. But yeah, that's where we're at. And it's just hilarious. It's if you want to entertain yourself, go to the pro gun subreddit and just listen to these clowns, because they literally act like Trump is going to declare himself dictator, be president forever. And the things that the actual left has railed about, the left is screaming bloody murder when Obama was the actual left, not progressives, not even, you know, not liberals, but socialists, anarchists, and communists have been railing about. It's like Obama's, you know, re-upping the Patriot Act. Obama was the first one to put kids in cages. All these things have been locked in by liberals. Trump is now flexing them, making them normalized. When he's not president anymore, if Joe Biden wins, what do you think is going to happen? Who do you think they're going to go after?
The left.
They're going to go after all these people looking for. No, they're going to have to make a show. Mm-hmm. They're going to make a show of like right wingers and go after like something like the Applebee's, you know, Western Sizzling protest. You know, when they all showed up with their ARs and demanded to get unlimited, all you can eat taquitos.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember like when Obama was president? Anymore. Do you remember when Obama was president and like people just like hung nooses up in their trees like all the time?
Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm. So like, I don't know. That just doesn't feel like something.
See what I'm saying? No, that's actually my point. Like, try to just follow. So that was permissible. But when I say permissible, that was the thing that like the state didn't act on, right? Because we didn't have the mechanisms in place. But now, if we're now going to normalize secret police, and you can just show up and disappear people, then that wouldn't happen anymore. And I don't mean that in a way of like, oh, that's good. I don't want those people black bagged. I don't want the secret police going after racists either. But I'm saying that kind of the protests that happened, the coronavirus protests where everybody showed up with their guns, that's not going to happen anymore in a world where we normalize secret police. And that's kind of like what we're headed towards now. But thank God it's not being normalized. Thank God the actual left. And also I have to give liberals a lot of credit. You know, those moms that were like locking arms in Portland and not letting young people get disappeared.
You don't know that those moms weren't socialists.
Just I mean, my God, I'd love to
wearing a pair of jean shorts.
I'd love to.
And a mom bob doesn't mean they're not a socialist.
That's the world I want to live in. But yeah, I hope that's the case. But if it's not, then I have to give the devil their due and say that, hey, liberals are showing up.
I got to be the bearer of bad news here. But like, I just don't see like a Biden administration or whatever turning those kinds of tools on the right wing. I see him turning those kinds of tools much like Obama did on the left. Because that's just how America works. America is always the oogie boogie man, and it's always the enemy. Because we just have historically have and I'm not saying it's like an essential part of America or anything like that. I'm not making an essentialist argument. I'm saying that there is a sort of like fundamental assumed legitimacy even when it's not, in these sort of like right-wing circles. And basically like, oh wow, we have to respect, this psychotic idea just because it's a different idea. But then when it comes to like, oh wow, that that other idea, this communist idea or whatever, wow, we can't listen to that. We have to destroy that, and that pervades like the entire from the right wing all the way to essentially like Obama. I mean,
I get what you're saying, and I understand it because that's what's happened in the past. My argument, my game theory is this is a different time to where, and this goes into my theory that I've put
what makes
forth
it different?
The other shows. It's people mobilized in the street, and it's not just leftists in the street. You've got a lot of liberals in the street. So the difference is that this goes back to my theory of like why Joe Biden. I would love to have a Bernie Sanders president, but why Joe Biden necessarily isn't the worst thing, because Joe Biden is going to have to. So let's say, okay, it's November. Joe Biden's elected president. He's going to have to make a move to like placate people. So there's two ways he can go. Either people are still going to, the left is still going to be mad. Like they're still going to be like, Joe Biden is just Republican light. We're still in the street. So now there's two ways to go. Is he going to flex his muscle and be like, hey, y'all can't be out in the street and just continue the policies of Trump?
Probably.
Or is he going to turn this like police state on the right? Yeah. That's where I'm saying it could go. I mean, that's what I'm saying that these people, these Second Amendment people are playing with.
Well, I guess
they're playing with this, and the snake could easily turn around and bite them.
So, like, when you think about mechanisms of how, like, when the state has, like, overreached in the past and all these other things, you think about, like, the last time, right? The Iraq War, there were lots of people in the street for that. Millions of people in the streets for that.
But they weren't breaking shit.
That was my first protest.
That's the difference. They weren't burning shit. They weren't breaking shit.
And there were war crimes committed by the U.S. government. And what did the Obama administration do when it was like called to when it basically had the opportunity to call the Bush administration to the carpet when we're talking about things like the Chelsea Manning's collateral murder video, or when it comes to torture, or when it comes to all of the indefinite detention in Guantanamo Bay, all this stuff, the sort of like liberal, leadership or whatever, the liberal administration, the Obama administration specifically, had the opportunity to sort of like dial that up and say, hey, this is something we're going to actually have punishment for. And what did they do? Not a goddamn thing. They said we need to look forward, not backwards. And I can just very easily see that being the case. And
I see what you're saying, and that makes total sense. Again, why this is different is because I've turned people in my family on. Like, I can think of my mom and my dad have both like come at me, and I've said I want to get them to grudgingly agree. Burning shit is undefeated, and that is the difference between this and the Iraq War. Is people are out in the street breaking and burning shit. Now, so how do you get a state, a capitalist state that only cares about capital, to pay attention to you? You go after their capital, right. And that's why this is different.
So the pushback on that is that Portland, which is the city that is currently on fire the most, has Democratic leadership. So I don't see where there would be any difference, like with a Biden presidency, like having a currently Democratic mayor. And I think what's more likely to happen is that, people will continue to burn stuff down, but they're not going to have the group of moms protecting them.
Yeah, the moms will just. It's funny.
So in my scenario, this is what a Biden would
really
do.
Quick.
Go ahead.
So when you make that point, Erin, remember the people that had at the Women's March that had the sign, like if
Hillary had won, we'd all be at brunch.
Yeah, you know where they would be if this was like not Trump, is that they would be at fucking brunch. And that's where I'm at on that. So I think we agree.
Yeah.
But here's where my here's where my wargaming goes to where a Biden would say, so we're cool. I'm saying we're in a world now. Trump is lost. He's out of the White House. Biden's sworn in. We're in a world now where like government overreach is cool and also secret police are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden would say, hey, y'all, I hear your pain. I feel your pain. What we're going to do, we're going to stamp out racism in this. We're going to stamp out racism in this country. So now we're going to go after where all the racists are. We're going to go after where they hang out. They hang out at gun shows. They hang out, you know, and we're using the Biden anti-racist force to go after every racist gun owner in this country. And that's how it would be used.
You know what Joe Biden is, right?
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, he doesn't, him and his people don't have any scruples. If they saw a thing to get people out of the street, you're confusing. Like, I'm thinking, oh, what does he really feel in his heart? No. How could you like seize power, get people on your side, and also who are the people that you'd most want to put upon?
Okay, he's on his side, like by nature of not being Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So people he's not going to have us on his side are people like us, like the leftists. They're going to stay out in the streets. But then there's going to be the same conversation that gets said every time that, oh, y'all are standing in the way of true progress because you're too destructive. Mm-hmm. And like public opinion will turn against the protesters. The only reason public opinion is with the protesters right now is because Trump is ordering, you know, federal troops in.
They're making it worse.
That was Biden ordering federal troops in. Yeah, we'd all be really loud about it. But do you think like your hairdresser would care? Like probably not.
I think the thing that is like indicative of where Biden is going to be pushing, like who he's going to be actually pandering to, is all of history when he's always kind of pandered to Republicans and like the center or center
John
right.
Kasich is going to be speaking at the fucking DNC. Like,
but then like at the same time, like the motherfucking architects of the Iraq War in this like Lincoln Project or whatever the hell that's running, like spending just boatloads of money on ads that are just dumping on Trump to get Biden over. That's where Biden, I think, is going to go more than anywhere else. And
so do you know what's going to happen like under a Biden presidency is he's going to be like, oh, unions are sexist because there's not enough women union stewards. So we're just going to use all of the federal power to disband unions. And like, yes, queen. Like that is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. They're going to take like the most shallow possible thing and they're going to be like, oh, we need to get rid of these like deeper things.
But who would you, after all this, what I'm saying is who would you scapegoat in this situation? Like if I was him, I would scapegoat, you'd go after poor working class white people who are conservatives.
He's going to scapegoat the left. Because that's the permanent boogeyman. Yeah.
I guess we're going to see.
Because the poor working class white people don't actually have any power. So like
that's why I'm saying that's who he goes after.
Well, neither does the left. Neither does the left right now.
I mean, I would disagree with that because
so would I.
Like leftists right now are burning shit to the ground. And
that's not power.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's not power, but it's power.
It's just enough as power as a vote. It's not political power.
Like it's not like institutional power, but it's you're getting noticed.
You've woken the bear.
It's attention, but I mean, what does attention get you if you don't get your policies implemented?
A lot.
Well, yeah, no, I mean,
that's why we work to get our policies implemented. Mm-hmm. Like when the city of Minneapolis goes, we're going to abolish the police department. That's because shit got burned down. Now, after they've said that, people of Minneapolis have to hold their feet to the fire and drag them every step of the way to make sure that happens. But that ball does not even get rolling without that target going up in flames.
No, I agree with that. And I'm not saying like don't burn the target. I'm just saying that like the way that Biden is going to operate is not going to be different than Most of the presidents that have done since the sort of like neoliberal consensus was consolidated with Jimmy Carter. Number two, I don't want to confuse the idea of direct action, which would include, the burning of the Target and all this other stuff, with political power either. That's something that gets attention, which is not nothing. But if that attention doesn't lead or doesn't create an on-ramp, which I'm not convinced it does, and I'm not saying don't do it, but if it doesn't, if you're burning a target just to burn the target, and just because it gets you attention, good for you. But I mean, like, that's not going to make anything better. But if there is
that's not what we're talking about either. We're not talking about tactics.
We're
talking about like who's going to be who he goes after, and
well, he's going to go after whoever burns whatever.
Like the white, like conservative working class in this country is crucial to the Democratic Party. Like that's who they rail against. That is like the boogeyman. Like they're going to go after the leftists who are burning things down because they're the most inconvenient. So what will likely happen is that Biden will offer the most, shallow conciliatory gesture. So like, what is the most easy? So internal biases trainings for all police officers, and we're hiring more minority women.
Mandating that working class has to read white fragility.
Yes. All incoming police officers have to read White Fragility and also listen to NPR for like 2 hours a day, whatever. So if leftists then say, oh, that's not actually like what we're asking for, then he's going to be, oh, you can't work with these people. They're just incorrigible, whatever. And then they'll shut it down. They'll be like, oh, we tried to work with the leftists, but they just wouldn't work with us. Nothing is good enough for the leftists. And so that's when they'll shut it down. So essentially, like, the Andy knows. What's his name? Andy No?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's how you pronounce it.
I've never heard his name said out loud before. Just on Twitter.
Trash can man.
They're not the actual danger to the Democratic establishment. It's like honestly, it's RIP the Michael Brooks of the world.
Right.
And they're way more dangerous. So a Biden administration.
We are way more dangerous.
I am actually, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm kind of the most dangerous out of all of you because I could be a mole.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't be a mole.
I speak the language.
You can't.
Of the 1%.
I can't. No, that's absolutely true.
That is historical,
I've said all
though.
the time. You are the most dangerous. Like, yeah.
That is, to a sense, historical. And I was talking a little bit about this with Ben earlier today, too, in the sense that, like, this was off air, but if you look at most of, like, revolutionary history, and I'm not saying, like, this is necessarily you, but the people that can speak the language and that can operate in the sort of theater of ruling like political top level political institutions are generally class traders from the ruling class, and that they're instrumental.
Me, I am a class trader.
They're instrumental in every revolution. Like if you look at if you go back to like the French Revolution, for example, there was multiple nobles that broke off from the leadership because they were, two different classes. They were like old sword, like military nobles who had been around since the time immemorial, and then there was a new sort of like merchant class that sort of purchased their way up into there, and they wanted to flip over everything. I mean, like the French Revolution was basically like a capitalist revolution, right? Yeah,
that's not the greatest. I'm being real pedantic right now. That's not a good example because the people who survived, those people that you're talking about that survived the French Revolution, it was ironically the least radical people because they didn't get consumed by the terror.
Well, they weren't radical either, though. Like they were the ones that wanted their own interests, their own class-based interests to be represented.
Oh, okay.
And when they didn't, or when they got what they wanted, they were like, oh wow, the sans-culottes are marching in the streets. Hold on a second, let's start chopping off heads.
No, I get you. Then that makes you're right. Then,
Mhm.
okay. So to put a cap on this. I mean, you can still keep talking about it. I just like for my own sake, I want to be very clear. So what's in my head, the situation I'm talking about. We've now opened the Pandora's box of secret police, and let's say like that doesn't get pushed back in. That's just another like post 9/11 thing that now we're dealing with. We're now dealing with fascism. So what you're saying is Biden wins, Trump loses. Right wingers are pissed off, or even petite bourgeoisie right wingers are pissed off that now Biden's going to be president. They show up in mass somewhere with ARs. And you're telling me that this newly formed police state is just going to let the Boogaloo Boys just ride?
Do you think they're going to show up about Biden though?
Yeah,
they're going to show up about Biden.
I think they're going to go home.
They showed up about fucking unlimited fucking dirty margaritas and shit. They'll show up about this.
I will say,
because Trump will say it's fucking rigged. Trump will be like, the election was rigged. It was mail-in voting by the Chinese. Fucking Biden's not legitimate, blah blah blah, and the people go yeah, and you're saying this newly formed, not newly formed, that's not the right word, but this newly normalized fucking secret police force is just gonna let them ride and just be like, go right ahead, boys. And for Biden to show that he is now president, he's not gonna allow them to like black bag them.
I think they're gonna go home. I really do. I think they're going to mostly go home. They won't really. They won't. If they do kind of do any bullshit, it'll be like around monuments and stuff like they had done in the past, and nothing's going to happen to them. Like nothing is going to happen to these people. I don't think so. I don't think the state's going to do anything to them. The state doesn't.
Are Jeff and I the cynical ones in this episode? And
no, I think so. So I mean, what you're telling me is like. And I mean this for real. Like we're having a conversation. And you've convinced me of at least your premise. So what you're telling me is these phony Second Amendment blowhards are actually right. Like they're by like standing their ground and going fuck it. Like no, fuck it. That's ironic. I said stand your ground, but to be like fuck them. Let the secret police run wild. They're never going to touch me.
Yeah. They are because they represent the secret police. They're not the target.
The only people who like had any actual skin in the game in that group, I think that strengthens your argument, Robert. Because I'm thinking about like the Clive and Bundys of the world. Because like most of those people talk such a big game because they know that they're never going to actually have to.
That happened under Obama too.
I know.
Right.
Nothing fucking happened to them.
I mean, did they all die?
No. They were allowed to just walk out like freely.
Oh, okay. They killed some people though, right?
No, they didn't kill anybody.
They just took over federal buildings.
They killed a federal agent.
They took over the owl. They took over the owl.
Yeah, I think they killed like 2 people.
Oh, really? Ooh,
I think they killed like a federal agent or 2.
But that's what like the reasonable that's like what the reasonable gun people are saying. It's like, hey, like y'all were totally against the feds when like this fucking owl preserve got taken over, and now you're like, oh, we should definitely have secret police. Like, what the fuck happened to y'all?
No,
I mean, what happened to y'all is you got your strong man. That's what happened.
Yeah. So I think
my best in that. And I'm going to be done. The only thing I what I really hope, and this is cynical as shit, that comes out of the situation is that like we're not normalizing secret police. We don't have that shit. The left still stays angry. We stay in the street. We street plus electoralism means progress, and like this was fascism's best chance at like taking hold of this country, and thank God it was a dum-dum like Donald Trump and not like an actual like
I mean fascist. There's 6 more months left.
I know.
I don't
presidency, know so like let's not count our little chickens.
I don't know if Trump losing is like the end of fascism either. Like maybe I'm more cynical than any of y'all.
It might kick it down the road for a bit.
I'm not even convinced of that. Because of one, what you just said about the sort of like even if so, assuming we have an election and Trump doesn't win, which seems to be like the most likely scenario, but it's not by no means, at least in my view, a sure thing, especially considering how fucking wild everything is right now.
What are you talking about? Biden is a whiz at campaigning.
No, I'm not even saying that. Like, he's been doing a really good job of like hiding the ball and like not doing anything. But like, even if all of that stuff happens, to say that we have a normal election, to say it goes through in the middle of a pandemic and all this other fucking shit, the idea that Trump or followers of Trump can say, well, we got screwed because of all of these sort of provisions, or because of X, Y, or Z excuse, would not embolden this sort of like, you know, aggrievement that is the basis of that kind of that even like vein of politics. That could even give like the fascism another shot in the arm, because anything that they see or hear that gives them either resistance or encouragement just emboldens them. And we need to be ready for that, at least. I think
How are we ready for that, Jeff?
How would we be ready for that?
Yeah, how will we get ready for that?
That's a good question. Let's talk about that. I don't
I
know the
guess
answer.
that's your idea of getting an AR, Robert, which
Yeah.
I still am like really not pro.
I don't know if that'll help.
I'm not pro the world where I feel like I need to own one.
Yeah, no, me either. But I mean, like, if the material conditions of the world indicate that you do need one, then you probably should get one. I'm not convinced that we're there. But I mean, like, I'm not going to tell anybody else.
When we're there, it'll be too late. That's kind of the thing. And I know that sounds kind of crazy. That sounds like, oh, but it's true. Like, when we're there, when you know we're there, it's too late. Like, when the gates of Rome were breached by the Hun, like, people weren't like, oh, well, we saw this coming. They didn't. Like, empires fall apart like gradually, then all of a sudden, all at once. That's just that. You want to talk about past things? You want to talk about history? That's history.
That's also debatable, but let's just
leave
it there.
That's how it happens.
I mean, if you want to get into Roman history, which I am very,
there
very
were signs, but
when
there were signs, but the Roman Empire was still the Roman Empire. It had contracted. Yes, the fiat currency. The money was starting to become worthless, but the Roman Empire was still Rome, and the sun never set on that empire until that gate was cracked. And it was all over.
So that's the debatable part, right? When did Rome even end, if that's the question?
I mean, if we're talking about the actual physical part of like no more Roman Empire, like for realsies, like then it would be when the Huns came over. They came over the wall. But if you want to talk about, and I think what you're trying to say is like, when did like being a Roman citizen not mean being a Roman citizen anymore? When were you did not have the protection of Rome? Like, that is debatable.
Depends on where you're at too.
If
like,
I'm a Roman citizen and I live in North Africa, and when does it when did they stop saying, man, fuck what they got going on in Italy? I don't give a fuck about that. Like that you could say is the end of the empire.
Or if the Vandals like block you. But I mean, like, even then, like, there was the like after the what we think of as the end of the Roman Empire, when the Ostrogoths sort of like shuffled off the last emperor in the West, there was still the Roman Empire in the East in Constantinople. Right, and that lasted another 1,000 years. So like, it's sort of like
irrelevant, y'all. Just
What's
really,
that?
I'm glad we're keeping it relevant.
Yeah.
What's is relevant? Like, it's. I mean, okay. So another great example is like the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall was this like impenetrable.
That was a
thing.
moment. That was a moment. That was a different
exactly
thing.
Until somebody said "fuck this wall," and the guy guarding it said, "You know what?" He said, "Yeah,
fuck it.
Come on."
He said, "Fuck that wall."
Yeah, that's a different thing. That's a different thing because
it was impenetrable. It was inevitable, and it was impenetrable until the second it wasn't. It's impossible until it's inevitable.
I don't know. I'm just sitting here watching my literal adorable dog tear apart this stuffed animal, a real creature, and I just the world it's a tough place.
He's a good boy. Yeah.
Nature is cruel. Nature will murder you.
I don't mean to be so pedantic about Rome, but like I definitely do. I definitely do.
You not mean to be pedantic about Rome because it feels like you kind of mean to be.
I do kind of live for that.
Yeah. Mr. Pedantic.
Mhm.
Mr.
I'm a pedant.
Roams a lot.
Romy boy.
Romy.
Jim Rome.
Jim Rome here.
Clones.
I miss when he was funny.
Never? He was funny? You thought he was funny?
I did. When he would just go off.
I don't know.
Like he would just go on these long extended rants and like tap his pen against the desk.
Mm-hmm.
God, that was good. That was good times. Like that was one of the better radio shows I used to listen to.
I used to listen to it a lot, and I never ever like thought that he was being real. Like I always just thought it was a character. You know what I mean?
I mean, it kind of is though. It's
Mhm.
kind of the combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
I used to listen to a lot of like that was probably the best talk radio I listened to. I used to listen to like Glenn Beck when he was syndicated.
Absolute shock jock.
He was fucking so terrible.
Uh-huh.
It was so terrible. Oh God. What else I used to listen to? I think we had this convo. I used to listen to a guy named Gary Spivey, who was a psychic in Tampa.
Yeah.
Big silver afro head. God. I really do miss AM talk radio. That's why like I get really sad about our local AM scene. Like it's so bad. Like I was texting Erin today. We were talking about that Jeff Coulier, like his show on our local station is like our local. We've talked about in the show.
It's not even good. It's not even entertaining.
It's so cringy, and yeah, it's not entertaining at all because he's takes
not clever.
Like,
he's not talented. He's not good at anything. Well, he's just like, wow, looks like I have to talk about this.
Bitch, read him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I actually take a different stance on him. I actually pity him. I actually feel bad for him. He blocked us on Twitter, which was very unfortunate.
Yeah, because you kept all of his.
I was the only person talking to him. Nobody else talks to that guy. Like on a Twitter. He should be happy that somebody wanted to keep him company online. Nobody likes that fucking guy. But yeah, his callers, if you listen to his call, like people call in and they say the dumbest shit. It's just like,
damn, they still want to talk about a bunch of Q people calling it.
Yeah, they're like, someone's like, well, the coronavirus is actually, it's actually they're using the underground tunnels at Disney World to spread it. Because it's just shipping it from Disney World Shanghai to Orlando. And then what they're doing is every time they Tinkerbell sprinkles pixie dust, what that is, see, that's the actual virus. But the whole thing about that is the coronavirus is not even real. Mm-hmm. Except that when we want to talk about it's from China, then it is real.
It's actually like 5G that does it.
And I'm just like, holy fuck. And he'd be like, well, Joe from Lakeview, I don't know about all that, but yeah, Biden is really bad, and you feel bad for him because you can like feel him cringe through the fucking radio.
He entertains,
and I'm just like, ooh. And now he has to put up with his like girlfriend, like because now he has to put up with her, and Mimi. He laughs. Yeah, Mimi's like she'll say something dumb like, you know that Robert E. Lee, his favorite food was black eyed peas, and that's how you know how much he loved black people, and that's why we should never took down Lee's Circle. And he'll be like, and it's just like it's like when Erin gets embarrassed by me, and then she puts like her hand on my thigh, kind of like calm down, like you're really cringing me out here.
I don't do that. I'm never embarrassed by you. I'm
done that shit all the time.
Instead, she just moved. Instead, she just went to New Jersey.
No, that is unrelated, Jeff. Fully unrelated. I had a mental breakdown, so I came to New Jersey to deal with it. But I'm nothing but a supportive wife. Okay, I'm the Kim Kardashian to Robert.
Nope. Fuck all that. I didn't even say that. Man, fuck that motherfucker. I'm so tired. I feel about Kanye as you feel about like Come Town.
Oh yeah,
like, fuck that shit.
Why
fuck
do you
Kanye
say that?
West. I don't want to hear that shit.
Well, Kanye is having a full-blown mental health crisis, and everyone should maybe just ignore him.
I don't know anything about this. What's going on?
Do that.
What's going on?
Go ahead, Erin. You're our pop culture.
What's wrong with Kanye? I want to help him.
Kanye's bipolar, and this is not me making that diagnosis. He has been open with it. And I just think culturally, as a nation, we do not have a good understanding of what it means to be mentally ill. Like, that's not bipolar, that's narcissism. And I'm like, yeah, grandiosity is like a huge part of bipolar disorder. Right. So I don't really know what to tell everybody. So yeah, let's all cut Kanye a little slack. And it's also really hard to, everyone's like, oh, they should get him help. And I'm like, have you ever tried to do that?
Yeah, but it's like, okay, so I don't know.
I'm the person you call for help. So just like, let's put that out there.
He has so many sycophants, like every other like rich famous person, so many leeches around him that are just gonna ride him until he's broke or does something so crazy
100%,
that they can't make any money off of him. So when I hear Kim Kardashian like, hey, cut him some slack, I want to be like, hey, go get your man. Like, go get your man and like, I don't know, go get your man.
That's unfair. That's really unfair. And we can talk shit about Kim Kardashian West all day because there's a lot there, but the thing I will not talk shit on because it is extraordinarily hard to get somebody mental health treatment when they don't get mental health treatment.
Right, fair enough.
This is some self-care right here.
Hey, remember when Candace Owens said that Kanye West was going to be the bridge for Black people to the Republican Party? Remember that? That was like a whole.
Candace Owens also seems.
That was like a million years. Oh, she's crazy too. They belong to each other.
I wonder, are Candace Owens and Mimi Owens related?
No, Candace Owens is like the T-1000 like blob of Kanye West that like spilled off and then became sentient, but not really. He could like reabsorb her.
Kind of like Venom and Carnage.
Yeah, but those are two different symbiotes.
No.
They were two different aliens who hated each other, right?
No. Carnage was a symbiote that spawned off of Venom. Okay.
Oh, really?
Like Venom is.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Venom is Carnage's kind of his dad.
This feels like time for me to refill my wine talk.
No, I didn't. I honest to God had no idea. Like, because I'm not a Spider-Man person. I don't like Spider-Man. So it's like I thought they were two different because one red, one black.
Neither does Venom and neither does Carnage. Neither of them like Spider-Man.
Right. Well, yeah, because Spider-Man sucks. Like for real.
Why do you hate Spider-Man?
Because he's okay. So he was the lucky bastard that got bitten by a radioactive spider, and then he's just like, oh man, I'm really concerned about midterms. Mm-hmm. Oh man, does Mary Jane like me? I don't know. Like you're motherfucking Spider-Man. Shut the fuck up.
I'm a superhero and I'm also a teen.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. Like who cares, dude? Like about any of this bullshit anymore. Like you are released from it. Like I understand he had to live and kind of still the real world where he had to take care of Aunt May and all that shit.
Yeah.
But like as soon as he joins the Avengers, I'd be like, "What the fuck does this pay, Tony?"
Mm-hmm. Well,
like you know what I mean? Like I shouldn't be having to worry about like how I'm gonna get and how Black Cat would like constantly throw herself in him, and he'd be like, "No, I've got to like be with this woman who really hates my superpowers," and it's just like, what the fuck? I've always he's like he got the thing that we all as little boys fantasize about. And then hated it.
Like he's still got problems.
It's almost if
he's got problems just like all of us.
And money and power and superpowers are not all they're cracked up to be, and maybe
fuck all that.
Ready to a standard that we ourselves.
I don't want to hear that bullshit.
Meet.
Maybe Spider-Man just thinks that keeping his identity a secret and like keeping Aunt May safe is the most important thing.
But he gave up his identity as Civil War because Tony told him to. A simp.
That got retconned. If you remember that he basically made a deal with Mephisto, and it basically turned everything back to that he never even married Mary Jane. So
what? Really? I didn't know that.
This is like 15 years ago, man. Why am I the Rome and fucking comic books guy?
You should know about Spider-Man because like I don't want to learn anything about Spider-Man.
No, they had a whole retcon of him. They had a whole retcon of him. Basically never having revealed his identity. They kind of like rolled that back, and they rolled back like even him getting married to Aunt May in like 2008.
Mary Jane.
Yeah. What did I say?
Yeah, you said Aunt May.
Oh, gee, he didn't marry Aunt May. That never happened. That would be a little bit odd.
Did you see Enter the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, that was good actually.
Yeah, I respect like the kind of like hobo Spider-Man. I really respect
it. It was
him.
very funny.
Because like that made sense. Like at least he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna like capitalize like on Spider-Man and try to open like a Spider-Man themed restaurant or whatever." Like at least he tried something. It's like, yeah, Spider-Man sucks. That's what. The other thing I hate about Spider-Man. The other thing I hate about him because he's so like the Marvel Comics go-to guy.
Mhm.
What I mean by that is they put him in places he has no business to be just because he's popular. Like in the whole Infinity War, he has no business there.
In the movie, you mean?
No, the movie I don't care about. I don't feel any kind of way about those movies.
Mhm.
Like the comic where they literally go to space to fight Thanos, and it's like, why are you here?
Yeah.
What
You
are
don't
you
have cosmic-
like? We got Adam Warlock, we got Silver Surfer,
Mhm.
at least Wolverine can regen, and we got Captain America for leadership. We got like
You don't have cosmic level powers.
we got Galactus. Like, what are
Actually,
you
so-
gonna do, dog?
I can't actually
home.
say what Spider-Man does do in those roles because Spider-Man, out of more than anybody else, like in terms of it, like the power level or whatever, or like the necessity of him or whatever, like there is no reason for him to be there. But for a narrative reason, he's the guy that people are like, man, Spider-Man's the like realest one out of all of them. He's the one that I can connect to, and that's why
That's
they
why I
sort
said
of like
just because he's popular.
they
That's exactly
shoehorn-
what I'm saying.
they shoehorn him into those stories to create like a relatable like main character.
Well, thank you for repeating exactly what I just said. My whole argument.
I'm sorry.
That's
I
exactly
made it.
Mansplained.
Yeah.
Thanks, I
Boom.
appreciate
There you
that.
go.
It's got man.
Man-
Yeah, you don't see them. They don't take. They
Man-
don't take.
Men's playing into men.
They don't take.
I'm here for it, to be honest.
Cage up there. They don't
They
take
should.
Blade.
Luke Cage is fucking great. He would be great. He's got unbreakable skin.
I mean, believe me, I like street level heroes because like street level heroes, they feel real. Like Luke Cage has like a wife, you know, and like a little kid, and like I really like. I like Blade. I like my street level guys. Like they add a sense of realism.
Mhm.
But like Spider-Man, they just put him in so many situations, and he has the dumbest rogues gallery. Like everyone in his
Whoa,
rogues gallery is
go in on
absolute
Shocker.
trash.
Go in on Shocker and Scorpion.
Holy, going on Mysterio, going like that was the coolest thing about Enter the Spider-Verse was whatchamacallit, like Dr. Octopus's like in that universe, like she was like a
Lady
really
Doc
cool,
Ock.
like sneaky, yeah, she was like a sneaky science chick where like the other Doc Ock isn't sneaky at all. Like, yeah, Vulture's an idiot, Rhino's an idiot, Shocker's stupid, Sandman's stupid. I mean, the Kingpin is fat. How did he become the Kingpin of
All right,
crime?
It's
He's
all
fat?
muscle. It's all muscle.
What? It is
I'm
actually
sorry.
all muscle.
Are you
You're
just
right.
saying fat people can't be crime kingpins?
No,
Like,
actually, I have to. No. Scott is right. It is actually all muscle. He's actually not fat.
did
Isn't
you
he
say
like a?
Jeffrey Scott?
Oh, I did, didn't I? Because we were talking about comic books. I'm not bad, Jeff. But isn't that's true though? Isn't he like? I wonder if he's a
He
mutant. then.
mansplained and he went passive aggressive.
Does he have the same condition as like the Blob? Maybe no, because he can't absorb
Kingpin?
things. Yeah.
No, the Kingpin is in peak physical condition. Also, he's
Why?
got a
How?
genius level
I don't.
intellect.
I'm gonna have to like go on Marvel.com. But you're right
Okay,
about that.
Look up healthy at any size, Robert.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Actually,
He's a big,
Hold on.
strong boy. That's what he is.
why is that?
He's big and strong. I mean, that's just different,
No, that's
different
just
bodies.
physically impossible.
Different
like,
bodies.
without being a mutant or something.
No, he's got no. He's a master like organizer as from
It's gotta
a
be. Yeah,
kingpin, like from a literal kingpin perspective.
Okay, so
Marvel.
it's a universe in which a human being gets bit by a radioactive spider and then is able to shoot silk out of.
But you can't say this guy's
worried
like.
about
Well, those are
the
actually.
improbability of a fat person being
Well,
able to be
hold
like
on.
a spider.
So
or-
Yeah, absolutely.
Really quickly,
Okay.
the web shooters are actually, well, depending on which story you're reading, but they're actually machines that he builds into
Yeah,
his
yeah,
costume.
that's okay. It's okay for not. Yeah, that's not a knock on you.
Big
Like, you would
difference.
you would assume that he can
Thank
shoot
you for
web
that,
out of his
Robert.
thing. Yeah,
so
that's not a
you're
knock on
so
you. I'm so gracious. I know.
delightful.
All right, skills and abilities. He's incredibly strong and significantly more durable than the average human, possessing remarkable strength concealed by his extremely corpulent appearance.
Mhm.
Most of his body mass is actually muscle, has been built to extraordinary size, much like a super heavyweight sumo wrestler, but that's not muscle either. Or some Olympic, no, he does not look like, or some Olympic weightlifters and power level lifters. No, he doesn't look like either of those things. He's
I
a
mean,
big fat guy.
I think he looks good.
He's been. I bet you do. But I do like the idea that he typically wears. Wait, hold on. Okay. He typically wears Kevlar armor under his clothing.
Yeah, he's smart.
Okay. Now, if he's a huge guy and he's super strong, and then has body armor underneath, that would make you look fat.
Why wouldn't he wear body armor?
No, I'm saying that's the explanation right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because the body armor would make you look fat under clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine with that. When was Kingpin played by Vincent D'Onofrio?
He was in. So they had a TV show, the Daredevil TV show, actually, that was on Netflix, and it was actually fairly good. At least the first season was fairly good. I don't think I got through the second season. Maybe I did.
I think they canceled it.
They definitely had two. I think I might have watched it, but I don't remember it. But I remember the first season being really good.
The thing I remember the most about, I never watched an episode of Daredevil, who I do kind of like. I like that he's a ninja and all that. Is that the Daredevil show on Netflix? I remember them saying how big of a deal it was when they made it. They did the vision impaired captioning that would just like narrate the episodes to you. And they had like a woman who was just like on NPR talking about it. She's like, I'm the biggest Daredevil fan because I'm also a blind lawyer and a ninja. So now I can watch Daredevil.
No, like a real life Daredevil.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I don't know. Netflix, they have too many fucking Marvel movies now, though. Like, I don't know. They just really, really like, you know what? I blame capitalism, obviously, but like they just really, really got to the saturation point as fast as they possibly could.
I tried to watch Iron Man. I mean, not Iron Man. I tried to watch Luke Cage and Iron Fist. But the problem with that
show about Luke Cage and Iron Fist, really?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, I missed that one.
Oh, it's on Netflix. I'm sure it's still up. I mean, anything canceled, they're still good. It's not like they're taking it down.
Yeah, those are two great characters, and the comics that were.
The problem was that the problem with the show, it was like, it wasn't corny. It was just like boring. Like there wasn't a lot of action. The problem was that they didn't lean into the characters. They tried to be like, oh, let's make this thing as realistic as possible.
Well, yeah, that's the problem with a lot.
When they should have just made a 70s. Like a 70s, like oh, these are comic book heroes from the 70s.
Yeah, well, that was sort of like the issue with all of those Netflix series. Is it took like these absurd ideas and tried to make it kind of seem real.
Oh, like the Inhumans?
Well, they had Inhumans one too.
Yeah, they did.
I didn't watch that one.
They tried to do like Lockjaw.
Well, I mean, and then like even Daredevil. I mean, like they just. I mean, and I really appreciated the idea and the spirit of like the entire story was that like the Kingpin was basically a fucking like land speculator and developer, and that's basically what you would think the Kingpin would do, don't you think? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, and then he sort of like, but there was just a lot of kind of almost like attempt to make things feel hyper real while still making them comic books, and it's just not something that you can pull off successfully easily. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying that like even like the Jessica Jones show, which I thought was pretty good, really got into some dark territory with the David Tennant character, who was able to just control people's minds and make them do whatever he wanted by telling them to. How do you ever defeat that character? You know,
right? That's the cue from Star Trek Problem, which hats off to them. They did a great job. No, did you? There was a Punisher series too, which they made the Punisher PTSD'd Iraq vet,
which is basically what he was.
He's Vietnam vet. Yeah. Well, he wasn't PTSD'd.
I mean,
in the comic,
maybe not canonically, but I mean, like if you read between the lines,
well, he's probably PTSD'd after he became the Punisher, and after his family got murdered by Kingpin or whoever.
Yeah, he hates the Kingpin.
But, yeah, whoever. I feel like it wasn't the Kingpin. Did you ever see that crazy ass Punisher movie? That's kind of like, it has the same vibes as like the new Judge Dredd. It was like maybe 10 years ago. Like that Punisher Warzone. It was directed by a lady, and it was like super. It was like super violent. It was like not a good movie, but it was just like, oh, you want me to make the Punisher? Okay, here it is. And it was just like the closest to the comic of all time. It was so dope. It was like, it's just one of those movies you're just like, God damn, like so super violent. It had It had what's his face, exactly who they should have. Wayne Knight, is that his name? The dude from Seinfeld.
Newman.
Yeah, he was Microchip.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Punisher's like dude, and like helped him out. It was so
buddy.
Good. So good. Well, not really. Punisher can have no friends, but yeah.
Yeah, close to a friend as a Punisher can have.
Close to the friend he can have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you would have told me there would be a Marvel Cinematic Universe, if you would have told me at 15 there would have been a Marvel Cinematic Universe and you won't care anything about it, I would have called you a liar.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't.
Well, I watched like a lot of the earlier movies, probably through the first Avengers, maybe the second Captain America movie. But then after that point, I was just like, this is just too many movies. I can't keep up. I don't watch anything most of the time anyway. Also,
nothing to even keep up with, though.
There's
nothing to even keep up with.
No, it's just popcorn bullshit. Shallow. But well, here's the thing too, and this is why it's so disparate. Like these movies are so disparate from the comics, which are both like different styles of, sort of like cashing in on a capitalist sort of framework, right?
Sure.
But like it shows a difference in terms of like how comic books operate, which is just, have a book out every month, do special events, make big shit happen, but like know your role and sort of like stay in your corner, and you can do it forever. And when it came to the movies, it was just like, we must take over the entire culture and we want all of the attention in the world because we spend so much fucking money on these movies and we command all of the attention in the world. And I mean, before long, like even if the stories are good, which I mean, some of them are, some of them aren't, right? Even if they are all good, even if they were all good, like you just gonna get tired of that shit really quick. And it just happened. And plus, just to add in one last thing, these kinds of like, so do you remember like action movies from like the 80s and 90s where there was actually like violence and blood?
My worldview.
Yeah, there was like actually like violence and blood and like they were rated R and shit. And like now our action movies are like PG-13 and they have like no blood and nobody. I mean, sometimes people die, I guess, but it's like so nerfed. Like they've just nerfed action movies and called it comic movies.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Like they really nerd. I mean, didn't they chop the balls right out of like Marvel Civil War, Jesus, or Avengers, whatever.
I didn't see the movie, so I don't know.
Oh, it's so bad. Don't ever watch it. Like, what are your
It wasn't a great comic either, but like
what? You didn't like Civil War?
I
loved it. It felt like I was like reading like the It Could Happen Here podcast, but in comic book form.
I think that the problem with Civil War, and this might be, man, we're getting deep on this one, but anyway, the problem with that, and so for people listening, Marvel Civil War was a time in the comics where there was like essentially they had a Marvel 9/11 type event, and like thousands of people in a small city died, and the allegory that they were trying to do was like they were trying to get essentially the government had sort of stepped in and said that all the superheroes need to like register with the government, and that was sort of the basis of the conflict. And when it comes to that, like in terms of a premise, I love it. It's great because that was during like the War on Terror. That book was like out in the mid 2000s, right? The issues that I had with it weren't that it wasn't a good effort or a good attempt or a good idea kernel. My problem is that it was Mark Millar that was doing the execution, and there was a lot of characters that had long and illustrious histories of having very specific lines that they would follow and things that they would believe in, and they just disregarded them entirely.
But isn't that what would happen though, my dog? Like, isn't that what happens in our world? Like, think about a guy like I'm not saying he was a champion for freedom or liberty, but think about a guy like Bill Maher. Like we shit on Bill Maher on the daily, but there was a time where like before that time was September 10th, 2011, where he was like more on the left. He was like almost a leftist. Like before I even gave thought about what leftism was, and 9/11 fucked him up. It made him feel unsafe, and he took this huge like fucking fascist turn. I mean, that's what would happen, dude. Like people under stress are going to break different ways, and you don't know. None of us know like, how we're going to break.
So I guess the other thing about that sort of like didn't ring true, and maybe this is me being a pedantic again, but like how many like cataclysmic like cities were destroyed in the history of Marvel comics or whatever that happened, and they're just like, oh fuck, whatever, I'm still the same. And then all of a sudden when they have this one where this guy like Nitro whose like superpowers that explodes exploded and like took out half a city or something, they're like, wow, now is the time where we have to change everything. You know, like it just seemed really fake.
But okay,
because that happens so many times. They always blow up half of New York every single fucking time.
But Shield to us, like Shield were the bad guys to people who think like we are, which I'd say they are the bad guys. Like they always have been the bad guys. And I never thought of Shield. Like I read comics my whole life, and I never thought of Shield as a bad, dirty organization until like I got out of the Marine Corps and I was like still reading comics. I'm like, this is a fucking fascist organization. Like,
yeah, totally.
Like fuck this.
Nick
Fuck
Fury's a son of a bitch.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So put yourself in the shoes of Captain America, to where Captain America has always been friends with Nick Fury and Shield, and then now he has to be like, oh, I guess the state are the bad guys, and I have to lead an underground resistance organization, and people are going to call me a terrorist.
Again, on the broad conceptual level, I think it's a good idea. I think the execution of it wasn't true to the characters that were a part of it. That's what I mean. Does that make sense?
It does, but again,
it seems so forced.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but that would make a very boring book.
If what?
If everybody just broke the way you thought they were gonna break. And then two, I don't think it's realistic. Like if you would have, like, it was very interesting when I think about things like, oh man, Iron Man's been a hero for my dad. Like my dad grew up reading Iron Man, and then I'm like, oh, now I've never thought about Iron Man. Like Iron Man's like a piece of shit. Like Tony Stark is like a piece of shit scumbag.
Well, so here's the funny thing about
that. Or like the Fantastic Four running the Guantanamo Bay in that universe.
Yeah.
It's like but then when you sit and think about it, you're like, of course they would. Of course they would.
Oh, the Fantastic Four are always bad. But I guess my point is the kind, and maybe this actually bolsters your point. But like, and we can actually probably close on this.
Yeah. I want some ice cream.
Whoa, I do too, but I don't have any.
I know, right?
So one of the core sort of conflicts,
probably just thirsty,
for a chunk of Iron Man as a comic book character's history, right, is that he wanted to protect, or he wanted to keep his like ideas and his inventions, that he, like, these weapons of actual war that the state probably should intervene in, like take over. He wanted to keep them to himself. He was kind of a fucking like libertarian about that. And then like in Civil War, he becomes like the top level cop in the government.
But doesn't that make sense? Yeah, that bolsters my point. Because
that's what I'm saying.
Wouldn't capitalist society are hand in hand, a weapons contractor and the government would be hand in hand, locked arms.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess the issue for me more than anything is that it was a Marvel book, and that could have been written with just random characters that didn't have histories. And I think that was what the problem is. Like, the histories of these characters were too defined for there to be such a breakneck change. Even like like with this like Marvel Universe 9/11 that they had that wasn't worse than most of the interactions that were happening in each individual comic character's book. That was that was kind of the issue.
I think what you're saying has a lot of merit. But to their defense, like Marvel Comics was on its last leg back then.
Yeah.
They were having to like sell off their properties to like Fox, and they were looking for a death. They were looking for a death of Superman type moment to like jumpstart their whole.
And they killed Captain America.
Yep, exactly. I think Steve Rogers should have stayed dead. That shit was stupid. But
Superman should have stayed dead. We can talk about that one later. That's a whole nother episode. Anytime you kill,
I hate Superman too. I think I've gone into that.
It ain't about hating Superman, but like when you kill somebody, just like let them stay dead for a while. I mean, it's just so cliche now. But like when somebody dies, they never stay dead. Anyway, you can listen to Good Morning Comrade Tuesdays on WHIVFM.org.
You can listen to comic book chat.
Yeah, comic talk.
But only comic books from the fucking 2000s.
Yeah, mid 2000s. I mean, we could talk about actually a good run that happened after Secret Invasion when Norman Osborn just like took over S.H.I.E.L.D., which is just great.
I didn't read any of that.
Oh my god, I was all in that shit. I was like, god damn. And then it became the realest real shit. Anyway, you can listen to Good Morning Comrade on Tuesdays, WHIV-FM at 8 a.m. You can get more information about all of our shit, WHIVFM.org/good-morning-comrade, goodmorningcomrade.com, and you can be a part of contributing to this program. Keep it alive. Give us an opportunity to grow this show by becoming a patron at patreon.com/goodmorningcomrade. Robert, what can we do for people if they become a patron?
I don't know. What do we have? Well, we were doing our material rewards.
Mm-hmm. I'm reaching out to our friend, our friend. I don't want to put pressure on her, but she's an old friend about getting those koozies actually designed, and we could put in a little bit of money to get those in the front end. But this is us kind of like sinking money into a project that we hope grows. And we would love to have people on board to our show. You can do so for, I think it was $5 a month.
Yeah.
Just patreon.com/good-morning-comrade. We're going to be, doing bonus shows, all that good stuff. Patreon.com, Good Morning Comrade. All right, everybody. Anything else you want to drop in, Robert?
Left is best.
Left is best. Rest in peace, Michael Jamal Brooks, one of the real good guys of history. Solidarity with the family over at by the Gowanus Canal.
Yeah.
Really, I talked for 2 hours with Ben Uderson about Michael Brooks. So
it was a good show.
Check that out on his page on Popular Front on YouTube and his podcasts on Popular Front. I think we're going to be working a little bit more with Ben going forward. Maybe we'll have him kind of come in for a segment every now and then. That could be really fun. And Ben's a really, really nice guy. Really smart guy. Check it out. All right, man. Good talking with you.
All right. Catch you later.
All right. Later. Love you, Brad. Bye.
Bye.